the most depressing moments in our society. And kapag naririnig mo ang mga tao na may murang kaisipan at nagsasabi sa iyo bilang guro na gusto nilang mamulat sa kung ano yung nangyayari sa lipunan, panalo sa atin yun. And we should respond to this call. Diba? It is part of our vocation. It is part of our purpose as teachers. Kapag may lumapit, kahit isa lang, kapag may lumapit na isang mag-aaral at sinabi niya na gusto kong tumulong, gusto kong mas maging aware sa kung ano yung nangyayari sa society ngayon, we have to respond to that call. All right? And that is very essential. That is very important for all of us teachers, because hindi lang siya duty, bukasyon siya. Tinatawag tayo ng tungkulin na yun. Yan. We win whenever our students tell us that they want to be more aware of the society. We succeed when our students tell us that we are the main reason or just the reason why they feel that their voice is important. Minsan, sa atin nagmumula yung dahilan kung bakit nakikita ng isang mag-aaral yung boses, kung bakit naririnig yung munting boses na yun, kung bakit nagkakaroon siya ng lakas ng loob para magsalita, para mag-express ng nararamdaman. And kadalasan, dahil mas madalas talaga, tayo yung nakakasama ng mga mag-aaral most of the time, especially during nung mga panahon na may face-to-face classes. Kahit ngayon na may online learning, tayo talaga yung nakakasama nila, tayo nakakausap nila, and tayo yung nagiging dahilan kung bakit natutuklasan nila na meron silang boses na kailangan iparinig sa lipunan. And one of our missions as agents of change is being the providers of a platform. We should be the providers of a platform for the students. Use it. Yan. And when students are encouraged, when students are empowered, these young people tend to work hard, and they work harder. They tend to study what is happening around them, especially in their society, in their community. Magsisimula yan sa school community nila, mag-observe, titignan kung ano yung mga magagandang nangyayari, titignan kung ano yung mga kailangang i-improve, and it is a beautiful thing to observe. It is a beautiful thing to see whenever our students are observants, whenever our students are trying to see the things around them. Diba? They are becoming independent. They are becoming better people because of it. And they also seem to dream big for their community. And because of that, because of those things that students are able to do, because of the platform that we are providing, these students contribute to make a better community for all. That being said, it is just important to take note that despite the coronavirus pandemic, despite the crisis, and despite the kind of modality that we are using, which is online learning, or we can say blended learning, diba? We should not remove, hindi pwedeng tanggalin. We should never remove the platform for the young voices. We should not remove the platform for our students who are willing to serve. Okay? Sabi ko nga kanina, this is an option. Pwede mong piliing ituloy, pwede mong piliin na wag muna. Okay? Lagi tayong may choice, lagi tayong may pagpipilian, pero yung desisyon na napanggagalingan noon dapat naka-anchor sa isang assessment. Di ba? Pag-aralang mabuti, maging mabusisi kung kaya. Okay? Kasi malaking parte, malaking role, napakahalaga ng pagbibigay ng platform, ng pagbibigay ng isang chance. Whenever we give a chance to these small voices na pag nagsama-sama magiging malakas, maririnig ng lahat, magbibigay ng pagbabago, di ba? Mahalaga yung mga bagay na yun dahil nakakatulong tayo sa mga bata, nakakatulong tayo sa mga mag-aaral para makilala nila kung sino talaga sila. Para malaman nila, ma-realize nila na kaya nilang maglingkod, kaya maging pinuno na pawang kalinisan at ah, pagsisilbi lamang ang iniisip para sa komunidad. Instead, we should even adapt. We should not remove the platform, or we have the choice not to remove the platform. Instead, we should adapt. Or better, we should enhance the things that we can offer, especially that we are in the online learning. Diba? We can always improve for the better. We can always adapt. Uh, Creativity and adaptability have always been the weapons of teachers, especially mga Filipino teachers uh, na nakilala ko at mga nanonood ngayon. Creativity and adaptability have always been your best weapons. So in making or organizing a student government, we can always use those two tools, those two weapons para maibigay natin itong plataforma, maibigay natin itong boses na kailangan ng mga mag-aaral. Yan. And another thing is, when you go to Twitter, when you go to Facebook, when you go to any social media, may mga makikita kang mag-aaral na nagpo-post ng rants nila. Yan. Kasi hindi sila nabibigyan ng plataforma, hindi sila nabibigyan ng lugar para i-air yung side nila, para masabi nila kung ano yung concerns nila. Diba? And they end up posting their concerns, their rants on social media. May iwasan natin yun kung nabibigyan natin sila ng pagkakataon para magsalita. Kung mabibigyan natin sila ng pagkakataon para mapakinggan, mismo ng eskwelahan. May iwasan ng gulo, may iwasan ng issue kapag may plataforma na ibinibigay sa mga mag-aaral na ito. Tsansa nila yan eh. Pagkakataon nila yan para masabi nila kung paano mas mapapabuti. It should be a mutual relationship between the school and the students. And whenever we have this platform, students are given the right chance, diba? At mas maganda yung pagkakataon dahil sa mismong eskwelahan sila tumutulog, sa mismong eskwelahan sila nagsasabi. At syempre, on the end of the school should sincerely listen to the students. At makakatulong ang student government because student leaders are the representatives of the students. And also, they are the face of how the school looks. Diba? Whenever they go out, whenever they introduce themselves to other people who are outside of the school, who are not part of the school community, they are the face of the school. Dalawang responsibilidad, dalawang roles ang tinitindigan ng mga student leaders natin. Number one, yun nga, sila yung nagre-represent sa mga estudyante, sila yung nag-air ng mga concerns ng mga mag-aaral sa eskwelahan. At pangalawa, at napakahalaga nito, sila yung mukha ng kagandahan ng eskwelahan. Na kapag lumabas sila, pag ipinakilala nila ang sarili nila bilang miyembro ng paaralan ninyo, makikita ka agad ng mga tao na hindi masyadong alam kung ano yung nangyayari, kung ano yung mekanismo sa loob ng paaralan. Makikita ka agad nila kung anong uri ng eskwelahan meron ang inyo. Alright? So, let me stress this out. When a student finds that voice, kapag naibigay natin, pag nagbigay tayo ng pagkakataon na marinig ang mumunting boses ng mga mag-aral na ito, the student does not only change herself for the better, she also involves everyone around her. Right? And she involves everyone around her, including the students, including even the teachers, especially their advisors, sa student government, and of course, the concern of the entire school community. And the student leaders include all of these things, not just herself. Hindi lang yung sarili niya ang nagiging mabuti, hindi lang sarili niya ang lumalago, pero lahat ng kilala niya, lahat ng kasama niya, tinutulungan niya rin para maging mabuti, para lumago. And most especially, the school community. Student leaders, whenever they find their become more socially aware. Sabi ko nga kanina, panalo sa ating mga guro kapag sinabi, pag nag-express ang mga batang ito na kailangan nila. Kailangan nilang maging aware, kailangan nilang malaman kung ano yung mga nangyayari sa lipunan. Siyempre, magsisimula tayo sa school community. Diba? Hindi naman agad-agad lalabas yan sa society. Hindi naman agad-agad mag-observe yan sa kung ano nangyayari sa lipunan natin, sa bansa natin. But it will really begin in our school community. They will observe, they will look at the right things that are happening. They will look for solutions for the things that need to be improved. And that is a beautiful thing to observe. Um, and sana sa school community, especially the management, the administration, wag tayong maging sensitive, wag tayong masyadong maging balat sibuyas kapag ang mga student leaders natin may naobserbahan na hindi masyadong kagandahan. Gagawin nila yan, sasabihin nila yung mga naobserbahan nila kahit hindi ito ganun kagandahan dahil meron silang naisip na paraan para pagandahin at mas pagbutihin ito. Yun lang naman yun. And it should be a mutual relationship between the students with the student leaders and of course the school. Ayan. And sabi ko nga kanina, student leaders become awake of what should be done and what should not continue anymore or what should be improved. And one at a time, when we, teachers, educators, administrators, whoever is in the school, when we are able to help a student find her voice, we are fulfilling one very important purpose in our vocation. This is why, if I were to choose, this is why I prefer to have this more specific title for this presentation. Production pa lang yun. Student government giving remote students a voice. Bigyan natin ng boses. Pakinggan natin yung mumunting boses na pag nagsama-sama, pag nagtipon-tipon, lumalakas, mas naririnig, di ba? At nakakabingi ito kapag nagsama-sama. And this voice or these voices that were gathered together pag nagsama-sama, gusto lang nilang mas mapabuti yung paaralan. Right? Now the question is, to the more pressing topic, the question is, can student governments really exist during online classes? Sabi ko nga kanina, of course, the answer is yes. And ulit-ulitin ko, lagi kong sasabihin na you have the option. Schools will always have the option whether to continue or not. It should just lie on one principle. A good program, including student governments, can adapt and even improve for the better. Again, assessment. We have to assess whether the school can push through with student governments. Although we have the option, may responsibilidad pa rin tayong alamin kung kaya pa o hindi. Hindi yung basta-basta mag-decide tayo na kaya natin, pero walang assessment. Sabihin na hindi natin kaya, pero hindi naman natin inalam kung talagang kaya pa. So kailangan, it should be anchored through assessment. And kapag sinabing assessment, dapat masusi ang proseso na ito. Inaalam ang bawat side, pinapakinggan ang bawat partido na may kinalaman sa programang ito. For example, in student governments, it should be, of course, the students, if they want to have a student government, of course, the teachers, especially the advisors who will manage the student government, at syempre yung management mismo. Dapat malaman lahat ng side, malaman ang pulso ng bawat pagdating sa usapin na ito. So that's a very important thing, assessment. And again, if you decide to continue on, to push through with student government, we can adapt uh, to the new normal, to online learning, and we can even improve using the modalities, using the technology that we currently have. All right? And a global pandemic may have stopped a lot of things. Sabi ko nga sa kwento ko kanina, here in Saudi Arabia, for example, when the lockdown happened, almost all industries were closed because of this global pandemic, because of the coronavirus crisis. And it may have stopped a lot of things. However, our roles as teachers will not allow education to be hindered by this crisis. Coronavirus ka lang, mga teacher kami. Parang ganun lang yan. Like I said in my previous presentations here in Vibal, hindi ko maalala kung nung una o yung pangalawa, now is the time. Ito, nung pangalawa to. Now is the time that we need teachers who will guide our students toward the right social, emotional, psychological, and even moral pathways. Imagine if we will be able to lead our students to these pathways, marunong dumama, marunong alamin kung ano ang tunay na nararamdaman at kayang ano naman ang mga nararamdaman niya at marunong kumilatis kung gaano ang psychological well-being mabuti, marunong alamin, natuto kung paano maging mabuti, kung paano maging makatao at kung paano magpakatao, makipagkapwa-tao sa bawat isa. Imagine if we are able to teach and lead our students in these pathways. Diba? So, I want to say that together, yes, we can. Yeah, we can. Although it is an option, I am for student governments. Okay? Lagi kong titindikan, lagi kong sasabihin na kaya natin, basta may assessment, syempre. And ang pinaka-importante sa akin is when we give students the voice. Yun lang naman yun eh. Ang gusto ko lang naman is bigyan natin ng plataforma ang mga mag-aaral. Although karapatan nila, kalayaan nilang magsabi ng rants, ng mag-post ng mga reklamo nila sa social media. Kapag tayo mismo na nasa paaralan ang nakikinig, if us are listening sincerely, respectfully, without judgment, may iwasan natin yung mga ganyung problema. May iwasan natin yung mga ganyung issue. And again, the student leaders, those capable people, those able young individuals who can lead, who can represent the students, will really help the school community to be better. And we can provide a platform for our learners. We can help them find their voice. We can help them find their purpose, especially in leadership. And that is even when we are in the middle of a global catastrophe. Again, coronavirus lang yan. Mga guru tayo. Mga student leaders kayo. Alam ko may mga student leaders na nanonood din dyan. Salamat sa panonood ngayon. I appreciate it really. Thank you very much. And the principles will always be to adapt and to improve. And now, before we really proceed with the pressing topic, sabi ko nga kanina, introduction lang yun. Let us all be clear of the things that we need to know about student government. Let us answer some questions. Yung mga common questions. What is a student government? What does it do? Questions like, why is it important even? Diba? What are the challenges whenever we have a student government, especially online? And what are the benefits of having a student government in a school? Basically, when we talk about student government, it is the representation. It represents the best interests of a school's student body, and it helps shape the student experience on campus. Sabi ko nga kanina, may dalawang responsibilidad ang student government, ang mga student leader. Una, they represent the students. They talk to the school community. They air the side of the students to improve all the services that the school has. And another thing is they are the face of the school whenever they go out of the community, whenever they are introducing the school to others. So napakahalaga ng student government because just like what the slide is telling us, it is a group of students that are charged with managing a wide range of events for the students, for the teachers. I remember in here in Saudi Arabia, it's our student leaders who are organizing the event for Teachers Month. And napakasaya ng mga event na ganyan. Kapag mismong mga estudyante, mga mag-aaral yung nag-organize ng mga ganyang event para sa mga guro. And they also organize activities for students, for the school community. In my case, yung hindi natuloy na activity dapat here in Churuk Al-Mamlaka International School, yung Family Fun Day na nasa carnival, sana kaming lahat. And that's for the entire school community, for the families, for the teachers, for the students, for everyone who are involved in this school. Yan. And they also propose policies and initiatives for the school. And everything is for the betterment of the community. Diba? Isn't it beautiful? Hindi pa maganda kapag meron tayong ganitong uri ng samahan, ng grupo na tumutulong sa mga guro, tumutulong sa management, tumutulong sa mga estudyante, basically sa buong komunidad para mas mapabuti yung una, syempre yung relationship among all of us, and number two, yung mga serbisyo na ibinibigay ng paaralan. Isn't it beautiful? Just a question. Right? Ano yung ginagawa naman ng student governments? When we talk about the things that student governments do, number one, student governments offer excellent ways, and that's the operative word, excellent. Excellent. They offer excellent ways to students to get involved in their inner workings for the school. Diba? Binibigyan natin ng chance, binibigyan natin ng pagkakataon ang mga mag-aaral, especially the student leaders, to be involved. Especially doon sa mga serbisyo na ibinibigay ng paaralan. And again, sabi ko nga, the operative word here is excellent. Diba? Sabi ko kanina, hindi lang basta mag-o-observe, hindi lang basta titingin ng mga pangit ang mga student leaders na yan sa school community. Hence, ang gagawin ng mga bata, ang gagawin ng mga student leader na ito, observe para malaman kung paano i-improve yung mga pwede pang i-improve. Diba? So, it's one good example of being excellent when we talk about getting involved in the inner workings of the school. Another responsibility or another task of student governments is for them to organize activities for students, like this is very common, community service, fundraising movements. Sobrang uso na niyan ngayon. Kahit dito sa Saudi Arabia, kahit medyo restricted ang bansang ito, ang gobyerno, no, nakakagawa pa rin tayo ng fundraising activities for the students, for the community. All right? And they also organize assemblies, for example, seminars, workshops, talent explosion for the students. So a lot of those things are being done by a student government. They organize activities for the students. They organize activities. So activities are being organized by the students for the students. Napakagandang gawain. Another task, another activity that student governments do is they manage campus health and wellness. And especially now, mental health is very important. Mamaya pag-uusapan natin ang mental health, kung paano nakakatulong ang student government pagdating sa pagtulong sa psychological well-being ng mga mag-aaral. And even teachers, para rin sa kanila yan. They manage campus health and wellness. Pwede rin silang mag-organize ng seminar workshop for COVID-19 pandemic. Maybe an awareness seminar, di ba? Do's and don'ts during the pandemic. Kayang-kayang gawin ng mga mag-aaral yan. All we need to do is to support their cause. And they also manage community outreach, especially now, kayang-kayang gawin yan. Maraming nangangailangan ng tulong ngayon. Hindi naman kailangan na lumayo sa sobrang liblib na lugar para lang magkaroon ng outreach. No? Saka, whenever we do community outreach nowadays, just make sure teachers that the safety and welfare of the students will be taken care of. Yun lang yun. And they also manage sustainability of campus. They help in managing the sustainability of the campus. They also help in drafting, in pushing initiatives and policies. Again, that's for the better of everyone. Okay? May mga rant man ang mga estudyante. Siyempre, pinipili pa rin ng mga student leaders kung ano talaga yung dapat pakinggan. At sila yung magpapaliwanag sa mga mag-aaral kapag sa tingin nila hindi pa napapanahon yung mga concern nila. Napakaganda na meron tayong the student leaders serve as our bridge, diba? As teachers, as members of the management. Whenever we have a bridge, which is the student leaders, going to the students, talking to the students, nagkakaroon ng clear communication pathway between the management, the school, and the students. Kayang-kaya ng student leaders yan. And pumipili naman tayo ng student leaders because of their capabilities, because of their abilities. And one of the most important capabilities of a student leader is his or her communication skills. And we will talk about that later on. Another task, another responsibility of student government is they provide student support and they organize programming and activities. It also represents and advocates for the students. And laging para sa mga mag-aaral. Again, activities by the students for the students. And hindi naman ibig sabihin yan, it doesn't matter that it's just the students who will benefit. Teachers can also benefit from this. The entire community can also benefit from activities that student leaders are organizing. Now, ang question, is it even important right now? Is a student government even important right now amidst pandemic? I must say, yes, it is. First, student council and student government help the students to get familiar with the government structures, diba? And imagine, kapag hindi ka lang sa classroom nagtuturo, hindi ka lang sa online nagtuturo about the structure of the government. In our case, in the Philippines, the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. Yung tatlong branches na yan ng government. Imagine, kapag in-apply mo yan, pag in-adapt mo yung uri ng government sa student council mo or sa student government mo, nagtuturo ka rin ng application sa kung paano ginagamit yung tatlong branches na yun. This mode, the student government introduces students to the overall structure and functions of the government and its processes. And imagine, no, they will be able to know what an executive body does. Malalaman nila kung ano ba talaga ang ginagawa ng isang presidente, diba, ng punong ehekutibo. Malalaman nila kung bakit may vice president, Malalaman nila kung bakit ah, ah, ganito ang ginagawa ng mga mayor, ng mga gobernador. Yan. Those are the executive bodies of uh, the government. And they will learn, they will be able to learn that a legislative body makes laws and policies. Yan, malalaman nila kung bakit ang mga congressmen, ang congresswomen, ang mga senator ay 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 ganito ang trabaho. Ang gumawa ng polisiya, gumawa ng batas para sa ikabubuti ng lahat. And they will realize that a jury is the body that interprets the law. It's the body that interprets the policies accordingly. Imagine if our students, who by the way, will be the future leaders of our country. Diba? Imagine if the students, these future leaders, will be able to know as early as their young age that there is a right duty and responsibility. There is a right set of duties and responsibilities for a public servant towards good governance and successful nation. Imagine that. Um, itong mga bata na to na magiging pinuno sa hinaharap, kapag clear sa kanila, pag malinaw sa kanila kung anong responsibilidad ng mga nasa executive branch, ng mga nasa legislative branch, ng mga nasa judiciary, they will be able to learn, they will be able to realize what a good governance is. And that's because they are clear of the duties and responsibilities. Sa ngayon, suntok sa buwan yan, masyadong futuristic, pero naniniwala kasi ako na meron akong magiging estudyante. Isa, dalawa, tatlo, kahit konti man sila, meron at meron kang mapapagraduate dyan na magiging pinuno sa gobyerno, sa pamahalaan. So, imagine that, di ba? Just try to picture that out. Imagine if they learn all of these things. Imagine if they have realized the importance of these things in getting familiar with the government structures, especially in our country. Just imagine that. Just try to picture that out. And I will leave that to your imagination. Iiwan ko sa inyo yung imagination na yan. Pero it's a challenge for you. Imagine niyo lang, tingnan nyo, isipin niyo kung may mga bata kayong mapagraduate na alam ang gobyerno kung paano ito patakbuhin at magiging future leader natin. Just imagine. I will leave that to your imagination, my dear audience. The second benefit, the second importance of a student government is it helps build positive and professional relationships. And nakakatulong sa mga mag-aaral, especially the student leaders, to build relationships that are positive and very professional. So working closely with other students and the school faculty, the management, the administration, gives the students the opportunity to build a strong and meaningful friendships and professional relationships. And nagkakaroon sila ng pagkakataon to enhance their communication skills. Nagkakaroon sila ng pagkakataon to feel. Nagkakaroon sila ng pagkakataon to air out their thoughts. And whenever this is happening, again, it is a victory for us teachers. It is a victory for us educators because we are giving them the platform to do all of these things. And the fruit of this is they are building positive relationships. They are building good friendships that will last. And the third benefit is student government helps in improving the school. And sabi ko nga kanina, hindi naman sila basta magrereklamo, hindi naman sila basta magsasabi lang ng kung ano-anong nakikita nilang hindi maganda sa eskwelahan. They will help in improving the school. Paano? How? Those who get involved in student government can always propose initiatives. They can always propose policies. They can always have outreach. They can reach out to the management. They can always organize activities that can create positive change. Diba? Operative word, positive. The change should be positive. So, ang responsibilidad ng student government is to help the school community to improve, to be better. All right? And the change should always be a positive one. Okay? And that is for the students, for the teachers, for the management, even for the parents, basically for the entire members of the community. And the fourth benefit or importance of a student government is they gain professional skills that they need. Yeah, may mga natututunan sila, may mga skills sila na nahuhon, na nai-improve because of joining student governments. So these skills are professional skills. Ito yung effective communication skills, researching skills. Sabi nga natin, hindi lang mag-o-observe, no? Talagang may pagsusuri, may pag-aaral, no? May study na gagawin ng mga student leaders natin para patunayan sa paaralan, para patunayan sa management na halimbawa kailangan baguhin ito or kailangan improve ito o kailangan nating gawin ito. Yan. Researching is one of the most important things that a student leader should learn, should be able to do. Another professional skill is the proper way of presenting his or her ideas. Ayan, hindi lang basta nagra-rant halimbawa sa Facebook or sa Twitter, di ba? Alam nila kung paano dumulog, alam nila kung paano mag-air out ng concerns, and they know that it should be done professionally. Another thing is they will be able to learn how to organize a meeting, how to assign responsibilities and tasks during meetings, diba? And I have been in several meetings of student governments, and kapag ang mga estudyante na dumadalo sa pagtutulong sa meeting ay alam kung ano yung mechanism, yung sistema, napakasarap makinig, napakasarap mag-preside ng meeting kapag ganun yung mga student leaders mo. Alam nila kung sino mag-minutes, alam nila kung ano yung pagkakasunod-sunod ng presentation, alam nila kung kailan sila magsasalita, alam nila kung kailan sila tatahimik at makikinig lang. At I can tell you, based from my experience, kapag gaganyan yung mga student leaders na dumadalo sa meeting, napakaswabe ng pagpupulong. Ang sarap makinig, ang sarap magsalita. And another skill, another professional skill that student leaders can improve on or can learn in joining student governments is the skill of collaboration. Collaborating between groups can all be developed and honed through this student government. Imagine ninyo na gumagawa ng paraan ang mga mag-aaral. They try to collaborate, they try to research, they try to present their ideas. And the rationale, the purpose, the objective is for the school community to improve, for the school community to be better. Isipin nyo na lang yung halaga na yon. Bukod sa nakakatulong sila para maging mabuti ang paaralan, nakakatulong pa tayong mga guro, tayong mga nasa paaralan na matutunan ng mga mag-aaral na itong mga skill na pwede nilang gamitin in the future. So the fifth benefit that I want to present is it bolsters student resume. And involvement in student government bolsters resume. And because of the skills na natutunan nila, because of the knowledge that they acquired, because of the commitment that is required whenever they join student governments, having this platform, having a student council or a student government on a resume of a student can be an advantage when they apply for college, for example, or when they apply for internships. And companies, universities, colleges, whenever they see the resume of a student and student government is there, it's a plus. advantage kaagad yon para sa mga mag-aaral. And it's because of the responsibilities, it's because of the commitment. Parang kapag nakita mo na nag-join siya ng student government, tapos consistent siya sa student government, sa pagdalo, sa pakikilahok, pag nakita ng universities at ng mga kumpanya na committed ang isang mag-aaral sa ganung uri ng trabaho, nakikita kaagad ng mga ito, ng colleges, universities, and companies na may tsansa, di ba? May potential ang isang mag-aaral, ang isang nag-a-apply, ang isang aplikante para sa isang posisyon or para sa slot sa college or sa university. So, malaking bagay because it really bolsters student resume kapag ang isang mag-aaral nakadalo or nakilahok sa student government. So, again, it's an option. Student government will always be an option now because of our situation, but I'm presenting the benefits and I hope you are seeing the beauty of it. And pang-anim, meron pang pang-anim. Actually, 8 ito. The sixth one is when students are joining student governments, they are being helped in finding their interests. They find their interests. Nakikita nila yung kung ano talaga yung gusto nilang gawin sa buhay. And whether students know they're interested in developing policies, for example, so pwede maging mga congressmen, maging senators, maging congresswomen, maging party list representatives, diba? Or whether they accidentally stumble upon a passion for sustainability or community outreach, pwedeng maging executive member ito, di ba? Pwedeng maging secretary halimbawa, maging secretary ng DSWD or maging member ng DSWD, mga ganyan. Maging member halimbawa ng DepEd, ng DOH. Involvement in student government offers many opportunities to develop their interests, especially if the interests are for helping other people or for the betterment of the community. So that is very important. That is one good benefit that a student government provides. The seventh one is students learn, because of student governments, they learn how to be team players. Ayan. Effective teamwork is an invaluable skill that students will certainly get whenever they practice this, whenever they are in a student government. Kasi nga, this is not a one-man show. This is not a one-man decision, di ba? Laging nagpupulong. Sabi ko nga, di ba, pagka nasa meeting ka ng student governments, ang daming ideas. It's a fountain of ideas, overflowing. Ang dami nilang gustong mangyari, ang dami nilang gustong sabihin, ang dami nilang gustong gawin. At pag ikaw ay isang advisor at nakikinig ka lang, masasabi mo talaga na I'm very proud of this team. Natututo natututo silang magtulungan, natututo silang makinig sa mga dapat pakinggan, natututo silang makinig sa bawat isa. And whenever you hear students and whenever you see students doing this, whenever they perfect teamwork, it is a big win for you as an advisor of the student government. And lastly, the eighth benefit is the students realize the importance of having a large networking, diba? Connections to be exact. And student government members, the student leaders, do not only make connections with their members. Hindi lang dun sa teammates nila, hindi lang sa mga kasama nila sa student government sila nakikipag-network or gumagawa ng connection. But also, they make connections with the faculty members, with staff of the school, and even the policy makers. Kung kinakailangan, dumudulog din sila sa mga kinatawan ng pamahalaan kapag kakailangan talaga. Alright? They also talk and communicate and connect with community members and other people of interest and influence. And so, lumalabas sa paaralan kung kinakailangan. Hindi lang sa mga mag-aaral, hindi lang sa mga kasama sa student government, hindi lang sa mga guro, hindi lang sa mga miyembro ng paaralan. Kung kinakailangan nilang lumabas para sa ikabubuti ng paaralan. I'm not talking about literally lumalabas. I mean, if they really need to reach out to other members of the community, the bigger community, yung our society, including the policymakers, the leaders of the government, community members, for example, if that is due to it. And this is a good benefit because it uh, it enlarge the community or the connection is being enlarged. Yung networking nila lumalawak. It becomes wide. And student government helps the students uh, to to deal with different types of people. Hindi lang sila sa mga kaklase nakikipag-usap. Iba pa rin kapag meron silang exposure sa mas nakakatanda sa kanila, kapag nagkakaroon sila ng pagkakataon na mapakinggan ng mga mas nakakatanda sa kanila. Kasi minsan, yung ideas nila, yung plans nila, pag pinakinggan natin, bibilib ka talaga eh. Magugulat ka na kung saan ang galing yan. Saan ang galing yung idea na yan. Nakakamangha kapag narinig mo silang nagsalita. The benefits that I presented came from the accreditedschoolonline.org. This website is very helpful if you are wanting to organize your student government with your teachers. And I believe this is a network of student councils and governments. And these councils share their best practices, this website. Para kang nagbe-benchmark kapag mo yung website na yan. Now that we really, or we have already have a clear picture of a student government, let us now answer the question, how can it exist in an online setup? Well, giving pandemic and in the midst of this crisis is still possible. It's still possible. All we need to do is to be creative. Lagi ko sinasabi yung creative, to be adaptable. And lagi nyo maririnig yan sa akin. Hanggang matapos itong presentation na to, to maximize our resources. We have to be creative in maximizing our resources. And it's the internet in particular. Ayan. Creativity, sabi ko kanina, creativity and adaptability, it's an innate or are innate characteristics to us teachers. We have always been creative. We have always been adapting to a lot of things. What more with this pandemic? Ulitin ko yung sinabi ko kanina, pandemic ka lang, teachers kami. Student leaders sila. So if you ask if student government is possible, I will just simply say that yes, it is. It is really possible. First thing to organize is, of course, alam nyo na to, the bylaws. Yeah. And the bylaws is our constitution, the student government. It is our guide. Every concern that may arise, we seek the bylaws. We seek the constitution. If your school already has an existing bylaws or existing manual where a bylaws is included or a constitution is included, then that's great. All you have to do is to tweak it a little bit to make it fit our current setup, which is online learning. Now, under the bylaws are the following. Hindi natin iisa-isahin to kasi kapag inisa-isa natin to, hahaba yung presentation. Ang mga i-include ko lang sa presentation na to is yung mga bagay na kailangan natin for because of the online setup. Ayan. So these are the following inclusions under the bylaws. Of course, the purpose is very important. It's your preamble. Yan yung, uh, yan yung sinusunod mo. Yan yung objective mo. That's your reason for setting up a student government. And another thing is the composition, and then yung student government, the definition of terms, para clear sa lahat, the body, the organizational chart, the advisor's qualification, bakit kailangan itong guro na ito o itong miyembro ng faculty na ito ang kailangan maging advisor. So meron qualifications, may duties and responsibilities dapat na nakalagay dyan. And ano yung karapatan ng mga mag-aaral, ng mga student leaders, karapatan ng advisor, nandyan lahat yan sa composition and structure. After it, the election, the process, the rules, the regulations, lahat, the system. Next is the duties and responsibilities of the elected officers. So, kailangan clear sa mga nanalo, clear sa mga student leaders kung ano ba talaga yung duties and responsibilities nila. And another is meetings. Yan. Pinag-aaralan, tinuturo yan sa mga student leaders kung paano mag-organize ng meeting. Kasi nga, dapat organisado lahat ng bagay. Strike system, when we talk about strike system, these are the things that, or these are the violations that student leaders may commit, and they may be strike out of the government. So kailangan malinaw din sa kanila yan. Being a student leader is not a privilege. May mga responsibilidad sila na kailangan gawin, kailangan tugunan. And of course, because a student government is a body, it is a council where there is a cash flow, kailangan din natin ituro sa mga mag-aaral yung auditing and financial records. Yan. Budgeting, and of course, yung fundraising. So sabi ko nga kanina, hindi ko na ilalagay lahat ng mga yan because pag inisa-isa natin itong pinaliwanag, hahaba masyado yung presentation na to. So let's focus on the main topic. Pipiliin ko lang yung mga nandito na kailangan pagtuunan ng pansin dahil kailangan mag-adapt sa online learning. Pwedeng may makalimutan ako, pwedeng may hindi ako mailagay, no? Kapag ka ganun, itanong nyo na lang mamaya kapag question and answer na. So, pinili ko lang yung mga nilagay ko dito na feeling ko, I think, these are the things that are very important, especially when we are adapting to online learning. Ayan. Kumbaga, sasagutin natin yung mga tanong na paano i-apply yung mga yan sa online, paano boboto online, mga ganyan, paano mag-organize ng programa online, and ano yung mga programang pwedeng gawin even we are in distance learning mode. And the use of document generating apps or softwares. On the top of my mind, it's always the Google Docs, halimbawa. Paano gagamitin yun? Paano ma-utilize yun para sa election, halimbawa? Para sa needs assessment, for example. Yung mga ganyan. Pero tandaan, ito ang unang dapat na nabuuin, bylaws. Bylaws ang unang dapat nabuuin kapag gusto ninyong mag-organisa ng student government. This is like our constitution, sabi ko nga kanina. This is our guide. We will not be lost if we have this. Hindi ka pwedeng magtayo ng student government kung wala ka niyan. Okay? It's blasphemy. Kasalanan kapag ka nag-student government ka tapos wala kang constitution. Yan. Parang nagagaling-galingan ka lang kapag ganyan. Parang sinasabi mo na kaya ko magtayo kahit hindi na nagsusulat ng ganyan, trabaho pa yan. No. This is very important. This is the first step. So please, sa mga nagbabalak na mag-organize ng student government, ito ang unang kailangan mabuo. Okay? And this is with the help of teachers, diba? And of course, the management. Kailangan sama-sama kayo sa pagbuo niya. You can always organize an online meeting just to make this one up. Alright? Ngayon, kung may student government ka na, pero wala ka bang bylaws, kailangan pag-isipan mong mabuti, kailangan mong gumawa nito. Again, this is your guide. Kapag ka may mga nangyari, pag may mga concerns na kailangan i-address, dito ka lagi dudulog. This will always be your main reference. Alright? So sana malinaw sa atin yun. And another thing, kapag may bylaws, kapag ka may constitution, hindi sila gagaya sa ilang politiko natin na tahasang inaabuso yung kapangyarihan nila kahit wala na sa konstitusyon yung mga ginagawa nila. Halimbawa. So siguro may mga naisip kayong politiko pero hindi na natin pag-uusapan yan. It's out of the topic. Sinasabi ko lang na kapag ka meron ito, malaki yung chance na meron tayong sinusunod. May patakaran tayong sinusunod. Meron tayong gabay na laging dinudulugan. Okay? Now, the purpose in the bylaws, sabi ko nga, ito napakahalaga nito. The purpose of the student government should be included in the constitution or in the bylaws. I want to stress out one of the purposes of student government. And this is the student involvement. Kanina pa natin pinag-uusapan ito. This is the student involvement to unite the community, to make our school one. In times like this, when crisis is still around, it's very much around. I think papalo na tayo sa 300,000. Kung hindi ako nagkakamali sa Pilipinas, parang 300,000 na yata ang kaso ngayon sa Pilipinas ng coronavirus. When this crisis, even if it's still very much around, the main purpose of the student government shall be helping the students, helping them to be involved, helping them to not be left behind. I remember one of the programs of Colegio San Agustin, Makati, when I was there. Students help their schoolmates with their academics. And if I'm not mistaken, they call it Agustinians, because San Agustin, yung mga Agustinians ang tawag sa students nila. Agustinians helping Agustinians, or the AHA program, AHA, Agustinians helping Agustinians. There will be a time where achievers, yung mga matataas ang grades, would tutor the students, their schoolmates, who express the desire to learn. Kasi nga ayaw natin ng may iwan. So that is one of the wonderful programs of Colegio San Agustin when I was there. And another is, hindi lang academics, another is peer counseling. When I was in the Philippines naman, I served as one of the founding officers of this one, Peer Organization of the Philippines. Shout out sa mga miyembro ng POP, Peer Organization of the Philippines. When this was first organized, I was one of the officers elected during that time, and that was way back. I believe that was way back 2016 or 2015, if I'm not mistaken. Ayan. Peer Organization of the Philippines is a national organization under the Philippine Guidance and Counseling Association. And now, why is this existing? What does this organization do? This organization conducts group guidance activities, peer counseling, team building, and when they conduct peer counseling, it's with the guidance of their advisor, who is a registered guidance counselor. Yan yung mga bagay na ginagawa nila. And I believe they still conduct peer counseling and other activities even online. So ito yung kailangan na maging main purpose ng student government when we are having this kind of modality. Kapag nasa online tayo ngayon, tulungan ng mga mag-aaral, especially with their academics and their mental health. Yung example kanina sa San Agustin, Agustinians helping Agustinians, achievers are helping, are tutoring other students to learn, to be better, to improve their grades. And this Philippine organization, or peer organization of the Philippines under the Philippine Guidance and Counseling Association, conducting peer counseling for the mental health of the students. So another good activity is organizing seminars, workshops, on pressing issues like the COVID-19 pandemic, the social issues. Marami tayong social issues ngayon sa Pilipinas. Of course, mental health, at marami pang iba. And the question, uh, are these possible online? Of course, very much. Student governments could pull this one off. Maniwala kayo sa akin, kung creative ang mga guro, creative din ang mga student leader. Kung paano man nila gagawin yan, makinig lang kayo. Kapag ka may moment, pag may chance na magpo-propose sila sa inyo, pakinggan nyo silang mabuti because I believe they can pull this one off. Tutorials and counseling may happen online. Okay? Again, all we have to do is to be creative. All we have to do is to listen to them, to listen to their creativity. Bigyan natin sila ng chance. Nagbago man ang sitwasyon natin lahat, hindi naman magbabago yung pagnanais natin na tumulong sa mga mag-aaral, tumulong sa komunidad. The motto or the purpose should always be sama-sama, walang maiiwan. Naniniwala akong student governments must organize this type of programs. And it should be the main priority of these organizations. This is with the help of, sabi ko nga kanina, the needs assessment. And you may tell me, Sir Kit, masyado namang matrabaho yan. Madami pang mas mahalagang kailangan. Believe me, I feel you. I feel you on that. But we can only decide if a service or a program will be for the benefit of our target, in this case, our students and their leaders, if we listen to their side, if we conduct needs assessment, if we listen to concerns, if we respond to their needs. This is how essential a needs assessment is. Diyan mo malalaman kung kailangan ba talaga yung mga programa, yung mga serbisyo na nabanggit ko kanina. Kung hindi man ito yung lumabas, for sure, sigurado ako na may ibang lalabas daan na kailangan i-address ng student government. Yan. Now that you have your bylaws, now that you are clear of the purpose, of the priorities, the next is having the set of officers. And to fully exercise the democratic practice na kailangan din ma-appreciate ng mga kabataan ngayon dahil maraming bumabati ko sa demokrasya. Kahit hindi nila naintindihan kung ano ibig sabihin ng demokrasya, ayan, we must adapt to online elections. And on top of my mind, sabi ko nga kanina, it's the Google Docs. It's the solid choice. Nowadays, we can conduct researches even remotely using these types of apps. Question lang, why not use it for election as our official ballot? Diba? Isama mo na dyan yung ibang documents na sinabi ko kanina, yung needs assessment. Pero syempre, lalagyan mo pa rin dapat yan ng safety features like password, for example. However, this is just an option. Lahat naman na sinabi ko option. Lahat yan puro option lang. It's still your choice. Diba? It's just an option. Pwedeng may iba kayong maisip na paraan. You can share it later. Pwede nyo rin i-share yan sa comment section kung ano pa yung ibang magandang paraan para ma-organize natin ng maayos itong election for the student government. Diba? Naisip ko rin kung yung modules nga na ipapadala sa bahay-bahay ng mga estudyante, baka yung official ballot, pwede rin gawin na gano'n na maipadala sa bahay-bahay. But still, we must protect the sanctity of votes. Diba? Tinuturo nga natin sa mga mag-aaral, diba, yung structure ng government. So, isasama natin yung proseso ng eleksyon, yung At dapat may procedure, may malinaw na procedure talaga na striktong susundin ng bawat isa come election day. Lahat dapat black and white. Basically, it's the accountability. Accountability is the key. May panalo na. Nakapagbotohan na, meron na nag-declare na panalo, may set of officers ka na. Excuse me. Ay paliwanag mo na kung ano yung duties and responsibilities ng mga officer na nanalo using the bylaws. Alam na nila that they represent the students and they are the face of the school when they introduce themselves in the community. Of course, lahat yan, sabi ko nga, it should be with the guidance of the bylaws. Naalala ko last year dito sa Shurok Almamlaka International School, maikwento ko lang. bilang advisor nga ng student council, nagkaroon kami ng moment, yung mga winning student leaders nagkaroon ng moment to to thank their supporters, their schoolmates who supported them, and at the same time to lay out their plans for the school. After the students gave their speeches, syempre, I was introduced as the advisors, and I also had to give a speech, a very short speech. One of the things I told the community during my speech was, sabi ko sa kanila, particularly sa mga students, I want my student leaders to be their role models. They should be the role models in being responsible with their academics, with peace and order, and of course, the cleanliness of the school. So the first order of business, sabi ko in my speech, the first order of business is for these student leaders, tinuro ko sila, for the student leaders to remove all the posters on every wall of our school and clean up whatever mess is there. Sabi ko pa, I expect that before dismissal, every area should be clean. Yun yung sinabi ko sa speech. And I knew those students would do it. Siyempre, excited yung mga yan. And may mga gusto silang patunayan. I knew that they would do it. And they really did. And napakalinis ng campus nung araw na yon. Wala ni isang poster na nakakabit sa wall. Wala ni isang kalat. And isa yon sa mga proudest moments ko dito sa Shuruk Al-Mamlaka International School. Dito sa Saudi Arabia in particular. Kasi yung makapag-inculcate ka lang ng simple value sa kanila, especially we are of different cultures, a Filipino teacher, a Filipino guidance counselor, teaching the Arab students, that panalong-panalo na yun. And dyan tayo magaling, mga Pinoy na teachers. Naniniwala ako na dyan tayo magaling, dyan tayo mahusay. And by the way, campaigning can be done online. Diba? Gagawa ka ng videos to present the platforms, tapos i-upload mo sa Facebook, pwedeng sa Facebook page ng student government na ginawa ng school, di ba? Pero dapat yung amount of airtime ng isang party, halimbawa, din dapat yung amount ng airtime sa kabilang party. Kung pwede nga, dapat sabay na ina-upload yung mga videos, yung mga campaign materials ng bawat party, dapat sabay na ina-upload yan kung posible. Diba? Ngayon, kung allowed naman sa school ninyo, halimbawa, yung magkaroon ang bawat party ng kanya-kanyang social media account, ng kanya-kanyang social media page, okay lang as you regulate what's being posted there. Diba? Tingnan pa rin mabuti, especially ng advisor, kung may relevance at substance yung pinopost nila doon sa page nila. Halimbawa, isa sa mga estudyante namin, tumakbo for chairmanship ng student government. And isa sa mga pinangako niya sa mga student nung nagka-campaign siya is magkakaroon ng weekly tournament ng computer game sa school. Nangako na siya. Yung pangako niya, hindi naman siya sigurado kung maaprubahan ng buong body, kung maaprubahan ng buong school. So nangako na siya. So hindi, kailangan ma-regulate pa rin kung ano yung mga pinopost, ma-regulate pa rin kung ano yung mga sinasabi sa page. Alright? Ayan. Another thing, pwede rin gumamit bukod sa Facebook, bukod sa YouTube, usong-usong ngayon yung TikTok. Diba? Maraming gumagamit niyan for ads. May nila ng services nila, pwede rin siguro gamitin nito to promote their platforms. Ayan. Pero let our candidates to think creatively of how they will send their message across. That's very important. At the end of the day, it's their message, it's their voice that needs to be heard. Yan. So pagbigyan natin sila, bigyan natin ng pagkakataon to be creative in doing these things as long as it has substance, as long as it has relevance. Hindi yung basta-basta lang nangako lang. So dapat ituturo din natin yan sa mga mag-aaral natin. And mas marami pa kadalasang alam yung mga estudyante niyan, gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, kaysa sa atin pagdating sa technology, pagdating sa mga ganitong gawain. And speaking of parties, syempre dapat nandyan din yung if bipartisan ba or multiple parties, diba? And wala namang problema kung paano niyo pagdedesisyonan yun, especially kung malaki yung school, kung sumali. So pwedeng magkaroon ng multi-parties. And we can still do it online. It depends on the mechanisms of the school. And just a piece of advice, my dear teachers, sana yung pangalan ng party dapat relevant din. Dapat hindi yung basta-basta nagbibigay lang ng pangalan. Dapat may ibig sabihin. Dapat may symbolism yung pangalan. Sana yung pangalan pa lang ng partido ng mga tumatakbo, tumatatak na dahil promising at hindi lang dahil cute pakinggan. Maraming ganun eh. May maraming ganun ng ginagawang pangalan ng party nila. So, gabayan yung mga tumatakbo, yung mga partido na magbigay ng pangalan ng partido na promising, na maganda. Maganda pakinggan dahil doon pa lang nakikita na kung ano yung mga gusto nilang mangyari. Right? And remind them na dapat nire-represent nila ng party nila yung kung ano yung goals and objectives ng party, ng grupo. And anyway, back to discussion, another program that may require adaptability to online setup or fundraising activities. Siyempre, bukod sa nakakatulong ito sa maraming causes ng school at ng mismong organization, ito yung moment ng mga students to enjoy, to showcase their talents, for example, to know their taste when it comes to pop culture. Yan. Those are some examples of it. And nandyan yung mga pa-concert, yung mga pa-talent explosion, at kung ano-ano pang activities na nagbibigay ng enjoyment sa mga student. Posible ba ito online? Of course, definitely, it is possible. Facebook Live is a very good example. Or YouTube Live is a very good example. Although yung sa Facebook, mas madali siyang gamitin kasi mayroon siyang ganito, yung ano mga tawag dito, yung send stars to support. Yan. Dyan pa lang, fundraiser na ganyan. Kapag may ganyan ka, pag nagpa-Facebook Live ka, tapos may ganyang feature, I believe, kahit yung sa Vibal Facebook Live may ganyan, nakakapag-raise ka na ng funds. However, the challenge is, since this will be the first time for almost all of us to conduct all these activities, especially fundraisers, online, maaaring hindi siya tangkiligan ng lahat. Maaaring hindi siya bumenta, di ba? Maaaring hindi dumalo ang mga estudyante, konti lang ang pumunta, konti lang ang mag-attend online. That is okay. Gusto ko sabihin that is okay. And we can only learn from the experience. Of course, all activities must have evaluation. And you can measure whether the activity is successful or not by asking or consulting the participants or the beneficiaries of your program. Try to find out, alamin how relevant, how efficient, how effective, how sustainable, and even how impactful your activities and programs are. Believe me, kung failed man, halimbawa ang activity, believe me, we can only learn from this. First time natin gagawin to so mangangapa tayo. Diba? Just be patient. Hindi agad-agad tayo magiging successful dito. Sabi nga nung gasgas ng cliche, you either win or learn. There's no losing in failing. Diba? When you fail, you just learn. You don't lose. And ladies and gentlemen, teachers, student government advisors, student government leaders who are watching, I have been talking about creativity and adaptability almost all the time during this session. Much as I would want to make it sound interesting and beautiful for all of you, I must say that that's it. That's already it. Delivering services and going the distance and doing the necessary tasks in times of crisis is really stressful. It really is. And in darkest times, in the moments of uncertainty, there would be days that everything just doesn't feel right. Yan. O naman may mga pagkakataon na it doesn't feel right. May mga araw, may mga time na gano'n na lang yung masasabi mo sa sarili mo. And I feel you. I would even understand if you tell me that student governments should stop for a while. Believe me, I would understand. But I want to post a question for you, my dear students, my dear teachers. Isn't it beautiful if we offer a little sacrifice, a little of our time, a little of our effort, of ourselves in general, if in return, our students who may one day be the next mayors or representatives or governors or senators or even vice presidents or presidents will be able to learn good governance. Isn't it beautiful? Yes, pwede natin sabihin, sugal to, this is a gamble. Suntok sa buwan pa siya kasi matagal pa. Pero sabi ko nga kanina, niniwala ako na may mapapagraduate ako. Kahit isa, dalawa, tatlo, kahit konti, may mapapagraduate ako na magiging pub. Pero uulit-ulitin ko at nasabi ko na ito sa unang webinar session ko sa Vibal. Uulit-ulitin ko siya. May mababago ka kahit pa isa-isa, at sa bawat buhay na mababago mo, panalo ito hindi lamang para sa iyo, hindi lang para sa mag-aaral na nabago mo, hindi lang sa komunidad, hindi lang sa bansa mo, kundi panalo ito para sa buong mundo. My dear educators, my dear student leaders, this is the time where we are really needed. Our creativity, our adaptability, most importantly, our passion. Despite the crisis, this pandemic in particular, we can still give our students the voice, the platform for them to stand up for what is right, while many are just sitting and doing nothing. We can still help them to stand out with their plans and course of actions while everyone is standing still. And we can help them to eventually be outstanding leaders while others are just trying to stand out to show off. With that, I want to end this presentation by greeting everyone a happy Teacher's Month. Mabuhay po kayong lahat at maraming salamat po sa dedikasyon na ibinabahagi ninyo sa amin. Bayani po kayo ng makabagong panahon. And sa mga hindi po papala rin na makapagtanong, no? Pwede niyo po akong i-add sa Facebook. Nagre-respond po ako sa mga messages ninyo. Pwede niyo pong i-like yung aking page, yung counseling kit. I give free counseling session to those who are in need, especially with their mental health concerns. And kapag may oras kayo magbasa, bisitahin niyo po yung kitjguzman.wordpress.com. Diyan po ako nag-express ng aking opinion, ng aking mga nararamdaman tungkol sa mga nangyayari sa lipunan, especially about education and mental health. Muli po, mabuhay po kayong lahat. Mabuhay po ang lahat ng gurong nagsisilbing liwanag sa panahon ng kadiliman at kawalan ng kasiguraduhan. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we will proceed to the question and answer portion. Our first question is from Chanel Sanchez. Required po ba rito lahat ng students in public and private online classes and even module learners?
Again, thank you for the question. Again, it is an option. I don't want to say that it is required. Diba? Mas marami, totoo naman mas marami pang kailangang pagtuunan ng pansin, mas marami pang kailangang gawin bukod sa student government. However, it is a good option. We can always have a decision, a choice whether to go with it or not. Pero yun nga yung pinost ko kanina, yung challenging question, hindi ba maganda na matutunan ng mga mag-aaral natin na as early as their age, natututunan na nila kung ano talaga ang tamang pamamahala. Dahil naniniwala kasi ako na tayong lahat dito, may mapapagraduate tayo na magiging public servant. Maganda na ganito pa lang, gantong edad pa lang nila, alam na nila kung paano maging servant, maging leader with purity, all for the service of others. Yun. This is not a requirement. Again, this is not a requirement. It's an option. maraming importanteng kailangan gawin because of this. And again, the priority is the safety and the health of the students. Pero kung kayang ipasok ang student government in online learning, mas maganda, mas mabuti. And I approve of it. Thank you po.
Thank you, sir. Our next question is from Menchi Romero. How can students become leaders inside and outside the classroom?
Through our guidance. And naniniwala ako na yung mga sasali sa student government, may mga potential na yan. They already have the set of skills. All they have to do is to be guided. All they need is to be guided by their teachers, especially the student government advisor. And of course, the parents. Kapag nakita ng mga magulang na may potential sila to be leaders, dapat sinusuportahan na yan. And naniniwala ako na kapag nasa paaralan ng mga estudyante at nakita ng isang guro, kahit isang guro lang ang makakita na may potential maging leader ito, gagawa ng paraan si teacher, gagawa ng paraan ng guro para mahon, para ma-improve yung skills itong student na ito to be a leader. So it's always possible, especially if they have the potential to be leaders. Thank you po.
Thank you, sir. Our next question is from China Blazo. Paano po kaya mahikayat ang mga students to participate sa mga activities na gagawin ng SSG?
It should be interesting. Kailangan may gimmick, diba? Kailangan creative. Yun lang naman yun. And ano ko ba sasabihin to? It will take a lot of time during meetings. Kailangan may magandang brainstorming na mangyayari. And kung halimbawa ang programa mo na i-organize is for 1 hour, siguro yung brainstorming mas mahaba pa sa 1 oras. Siguro tatagal yan ng ilang linggo hanggang sa makakuha ka ng creative, makakuha ka ng gimmick kung paano mo may invite yung mga estudyante na sumali sa mga activities na to. And again, the priority should always be to help the students learn, to help the students with their mental health, to help the students be aware of their community and their society, yung mga yan. And of course, to help the students showcase their skills and their talents. Yan. Kapag may gimmick ka, pagka creative ka, kapag mas mahaba yung brainstorming at yung meeting na ginawa mo, compared dun sa mismong activity na inorganize mo, I believe magiging successful yan. But still, sabi ko kanina dun sa the end of my presentation, may mga pagkakataon na it may fail. It may really fail, but we can only learn from it. As long as there is evaluation, wag tayong mag-shortcut. Pagkatapos ng activity, dapat evaluation ka agad. Dapat alamin natin kung ano yung strengths and weaknesses ng bawat programa na binibigay natin because it will help us improve on the next activities that we will organize. Salamat po.
Thank you po, sir. And our next question is from Teacher Yaj. Good afternoon po. Yung school ko po is an integrated school. Yung kinder to grade 10 is joint. I just want to ask po if it is better to have combined leaders from elementary and high school or mas maganda po kaya kung high school lang muna and let the elementary pupils observe how the high school students hold the student council or mas mainam kung separate?
In my opinion, it is possible to have a set of student leaders from elementary and another set of leaders from high school. Yeah, mas maganda 'yon kasi iba yung concern ng high school, iba yung concern ng elementary. And maganda na nakakapag-practice na yung mga bata, yung elementary students, elementary pupils ng ng right nila to vote, yung right to suffrage. Nakikita na natin kung paano sila pumipili, yung paano nagiging populist ang isang kandidato as early as as elementary, makikita mo na diyan. Maganda siya kasi sabi ko kanina, iba yung concern ng elementary at ng high school. And in some meetings, pwede mo namang pagsamahin ng student leaders from elementary and high school para nakikita rin ng mga elementary students kung paano yung mechanism sa high school student government. And from there, natututo sila na and ina-apply nila yun dun sa student government nila sa elementary. Ayun, in my opinion, it's possible to have a student government in elementary, especially kapag malaki yung yung population sa elementary. Maraming concerns din yung mga yan, and maganda na merong bridge ang students at ang school administration through the student leaders, even if they are just elementary students. Salamat po.
That's all the questions we have for now. Any last reminders to our viewers for today po?
Thank you, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear teachers, my dear student government advisors, and of course, my dear student government leaders, you have a voice, use it properly, and it's just the pandemic, it's just the crisis. Crisis lang yan. Mga guro tayo, mga pinuno tayo, at kayang-kaya natin gawa ng paraan ng lahat ng bagay na yan kung magtutulong-tulong tayo. Ang mahalaga, gamitin natin yung boses na meron tayo para sa ikabubuti ng lahat. Maraming salamat po ulit.
There we have it. In behalf of Vibal Group Incorporated, I would like to thank our speaker for today for this very eye-opening and insightful learning session. It is an honor to have you with us today, sir. And to all our Kavibao viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to our daily learning session. Don't forget to register to get your e-certificate of participation. We also encourage you to subscribe and watch on our official Vibao Facebook and YouTube channel. Muli, maraming salamat at magandang araw sa ating lahat.